Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD. In this video, I thought I would give you a quick update about some items that we purchased with our Walt Disney World trip in mind. Some of these will be exclusively for Walt Disney World, most of them I'll get general use out of other than the trip, but the trip really was the impetus for the purchase. This also includes one single, fairly extravagant purchase, so be sure to stay tuned until the end to see that. Before we get started, I want to say thanks so much to everyone who has liked the video and subscribed to the channel. If you aren't yet subscribed, I really wish you would. It's free, and you can ring the bell icon to receive notifications whenever I post new videos. With my trip right around the corner, I'm probably going to be posting videos a little more sporadically than usual. Therefore, ringing that bell to receive notifications should prove pretty useful, that way you don't miss anything. I'd also love to hear about what you tend to purchase before you head down to Walt Disney World or Disneyland. Are there any park-specific items you absolutely must have? Let me know in the comments down below. For my list, let's get started with some items that really are Disney specific. First, I did buy 2 new pairs of Minnie Mouse ears. We did a whole video unboxing of those. If you want to check that out, click the card in the corner and I'll leave the link in the description below. Next, my partner and I did also decide to buy Magic Bands. You don't need a Magic Band anymore, and also they aren't free, but for on-site hotel guests, you can receive a slight discount on some Magic Bands that are offered. We did decide to go ahead and purchase Magic Bands. If you want to learn more about that process and see what we got, you can look at my recent Magic Bands video. Next, that's pretty Walt Disney World specific, and I don't think we'll get use out of really anywhere else that we travel or at home, are disposable rain ponchos. I got a pack of 6 of these in assorted colors for about $11. I picked these specifically because they have the string around the hood, so if it's going real bad, I can tighten that string and hopefully that helps keep some of the rain off of my head. I generally don't like to use single-use products, especially single-use plastic, so this is not something I would normally purchase. But we all know how absolutely ridiculous the rain in Central Florida can be, and I want to be prepared. I do have a rain slicker that I use at home, but even when I scrunch it up real small, it's not super small, so it's not really something that I want to lug around the parks. These ponchos, since it's a super thin plastic, will take up next to no space in our luggage and in our park bags. I don't know what they charge these days for ponchos in the parks, but I'm guessing it's quite a lot. It's probably more than $10, right? It might even be $15 to $20. But anyway, if we get caught in a rain pour, I don't want to have to feel like I need to buy one of those ponchos on property. Instead, we will just have these that we'll bring with us. And the last real Walt Disney World Park specific item that I bought is going to be disposable face masks. I purchased 2 packs of 50 in these boxes, which feels a little bit ridiculous, but we are going to be gone for 2 full weeks. And there's 2 of us, and I assume we'll be changing masks at least once a day. Again, normally I try to avoid disposable products. At home we've been wearing cloth masks all the time, other than when we go to a doctor's office and they give us a disposable mask to wear, we just don't use disposable masks at home. And I like the cloth masks plenty, and we absolutely are going to pack them. But I anticipate we'll be using them primarily for double masking rather than just our primary mask wearing. Mostly, I don't want to have to be washing masks every couple days while we're on vacation because we really just don't own that many cloth masks. Overall, I just think having the disposable ones will make our lives a lot easier. Also, while I definitely mask up when I need to, some of the cloth masks we own are not the most comfortable. And I know from prior experience when I was a graduate student that I can easily wear these disposable face masks for at least 6 hours. I don't think I've ever done 8 or 9 hours, but I don't anticipate I will do 8 or 9 hours in a row without switching masks out at the Disney parks either. Truly, I hate to be wasteful, it makes me cringe inside, but I just think this is the best path forward for us for this vacation. Plus, I bought these 2 boxes specifically because they came in a lot of fun colors, so hopefully I will have a good time mixing and matching with outfits. Moving on, let's go to a category of apparel. I did buy a new park bag for this trip. It's from Dora and Liz, and it was about $23, though the cost did vary depending on what color you ended up buying. In 2019, my park bag was a Kipling Small Anik, and I really liked it. You can convert it from a crossbody to a backpack, which is exactly what I want. Backpacks are probably the most convenient for parks, but I hate that back sweat feeling, and it's kind of inevitable in Florida. Plus, when I'm in more crowded situations like a rope drop or during the nighttime spectacular, I prefer to have my bag in front of me. So being able to convert from a backpack for ease to a crossbody for safety, security, and basically for my paranoia is something that I really value. Kipling did make a regular size Anik. I purchased a small Anik and found that while it was great, it was a little bit small. Anytime I wanted to carry both a water and my camera along with my everyday essentials, things were pretty tight. Especially when you consider that normally at Disney parks I would like to bring a light jacket or a light sweater along with also for those chilly indoor situations. The Kipling Small Anik really could not fit all of that, I found. So recently I decided maybe I'll just go buy the regular sized Kipling Anik. Unfortunately, they discontinued it. So that set me off on this hunt to find another bag that was a little bit larger than what I had that can convert from a backpack to a crossbody. I settled on this bag from Dora and Liz, and I've been using it for about a month, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it. The backpack function is super easy and makes a lot of sense. Converting it from backpack to shoulder bag is also really easy, quick, and simple. Converting it from backpack or shoulder bag to crossbody is a little bit wonky. It does work, but it doesn't perhaps feel the most secure to me. You're basically relying on this piece of hardware to hold everything together. So you elongate the straps and then you unbuckle it from the bottom, and then you have these two pieces of hardware that just clash, and that's how your bag stays crossbody. I just wish they had added another D-ring for me to clip into for some extra security. But otherwise, I think it's a decent sized bag. I can definitely fit everything I need in it. It's nylon, so it's fairly lightweight. There's decent organization. Honestly, if it were the old park days where security had to go through every pocket of your bag, I might say there were too many pockets in this. The front of the bag alone has 4 separate compartments, and then you have the main compartment, which also has a zipper, and then the back also has a zipper. But since security's been updated and I should just be able to walk right through, I think this will be perfect. I also find the straps to be comfortable, at least on my frame. It's different for everybody though. But also at $23, it's a pretty hard price to beat. After I discovered Kipling no longer makes that Anik style bag and I was looking into other bags, honestly there just weren't very many options that converted from backpack to crossbody. And the other few I found were typically over $100. Many of them were from more bougie travel companies, so it had all of these safety locks and features and RFID blocking everything, blah blah blah. Which I'm sure that's cool, but I just really don't need that for a park bag. Although I will say this bag is advertised as having some RFID blocking technology as well. I probably am going to pack more than one bag for the trip, but I did purchase this bag with the trip in mind, and I think it probably will be my primary park bag for this trip. If you're looking for a convertible bag with enough space to carry your things, but that's not as big as a backpack, not so overwhelming, honestly I really recommend this. Like I said, I've been using it around town for several weeks, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Next, let's talk about shoes and socks. If you watched my recent Shoes for Disney video, you know that I'm a bit peculiar and particular about this topic. For shoes, I did end up purchasing a new pair of sandals from Vionic. This is the Lisbeth backstrap sandal. I like the way it looks, but mostly I was looking for a sandal with this full ankle strap. I had one very similar to this. It wasn't exactly the same, the decoration was different, but the rest was exactly the same in 2017, which I took to the parks, and that was probably my favorite. I ended up purchasing these for about $100, which is not necessarily my favorite. Usually I'm able to find Vionic shoes on Zulily for about $40 a pair. But time was ticking by, and I knew I really wanted these, and these weren't popping up on Zulily, so I just bit the dust and spent the full price. And I know I'll get great use out of these sandals outside of the parks, at home, on other vacations, etc., so it's a worthwhile investment for me. Next, and I didn't technically purchase these, my partner got them for me for a birthday gift, but I do have now my third pair of Allbirds. These are a tree material Piper, so Piper is the style. I previously owned a wool Piper and I liked it a lot, but the wool was just not maybe my favorite thought for a vacation in Central Florida. So now I have this tree material that's lighter, breezier. This is going to be a great shoe for me in the parks. I've been wearing it around town since I got it for my birthday, and yep, these are a great shoe. I'm really excited to take them to Walt Disney World. Regardless of an upcoming vacation, I'm always on the hunt for a good no-show sock, but certainly with vacation coming up, that is more urgent than usual. I did end up buying a pair of Trino Hider socks from Allbirds, and I do like these very much actually. They have this flat lace seam that feels nice on the top of my foot, and there are some grippies on the inside of the back of the heel, so for the most part, I'm not noticing that they're falling down or anything. I will note though that I typically wear a women's 7.5 or 8 size shoe, and this is a small sock, which is technically for women's 5 to 7 size. So I did purposefully size down, and I do think that was the correct decision. I like these socks plenty, but they are an expensive sock, much like Bombas. That being said, with Bombas, when you purchase a pair, they also donate a pair, which I do not think Allbirds is doing. So from that moral standpoint, I ended up just purchasing more Bombas lightweight no-show socks. Even though I think truthfully I probably slightly prefer the Allbirds socks, I just got 8 pairs of these gray lightweight no-show Bombas, size small again, which again, per the size chart, I should be a medium, but you know, small it is, I guess. I now have this 1 pair of Allbirds socks and then 12 pairs of small Bombas lightweight no-shows, and I will be taking all of those with me on vacation. And then finally, close to almost a year ago actually, I bought a parka from Uniqlo. It's this lightweight pocketable UV protection parka. It normally retails for about $40. Forever ago, they were running a 1 weekend special on it where it was $19.90, so that is when I snatched it up. I did want the parka in general for my everyday life, but I also knew that this would be a great thing to bring to Disney, so that was sort of the impetus for the purchase, even though it was so long ago. It's pretty lightweight, fairly breathable. I mean, these things are never fully breathable because they're supposed to be somewhat water resistant. This is fairly water resistant. I've worn it in what I would consider a drizzle or a light rain here at home, and it does great for that. I don't think it'll be really any help at all during a torrential downpour, but it's better than nothing, and it'll be a nice light layer. Plus, it does pack up fairly small, which is cool. So I can either stick it in my bag, or I can probably clip it with a D-ring to the outside of my bag somewhere. If anyone's considering buying this, I will note that I ended up buying a large. Normally I buy a medium in pretty much everything. Several of the reviews said that the length was a little bit short, and so they wanted it to be longer, and in order for that, they did size up. I also tend to want things to be longer, so I sized up to large, and I am glad I did that. I think that's correct. Uniqlo tends to have closer to Asian sizing instead of American sizing, so you may end up sizing up. Just look at the size chart pretty carefully. For the next category, let's go over technology adjacent items. So I did buy a new phone case. It is this cool crossbody case, and you can cross it horizontal, or if you move the clips, you can do vertical as well. I really wanted one that could do both, but especially the horizontal, primarily with filming in mind. That way, if it's slung across my body horizontal and then I want to take a quick picture or video this way, landscape, not portrait, for the vlog, then I can just pull it up, do it real fast, great. Interestingly, this was pretty hard to find actually. There were plenty of crossbody phone cases in general, but 98% of them only did that vertical hold and not the horizontal hold. I ended up paying about $30 for this, which feels like a little bit much. It's not the sturdiest phone case of all time, although I will say that the clip-ins where the strap holds your phone do feel very secure, which is important. I'll leave the link to the exact product that I bought in the description below, but I'll also leave a link to some similar products that look a little bit less expensive. And I'll note it actually came like this. It had this pretty large sort of small wallet on the back of the phone case, which I think a lot of people like for convenience, and I get that. But actually, because it was so large, it was hard for me to hold. It was hard for me to hold my phone with one hand, and I found it really inconvenient. The wallet portion was basically stitched and glued onto the phone case. It wasn't an integral part. Therefore, I decided to jerry-rig it more to my likings. I used a seam ripper to take off the stitches along where the wallet part was stitched down to the phone case. Then I just had to deal with the glue. The glue was only in the center back, so I just sort of tried to slowly peel it off, and it worked eventually. But you can see that when I peeled it off, there's this nasty part from the actual phone case that came off with it too, so then the phone case was looking pretty bad. The wallet had another flap here, so there's this holder, and then this is just a pocket. There was another flap, I can't remember which side, but with one of these pockets, so it had, more card space. It had more places to store things. Again, that was just stitched in, so I unstitched it from the wallet with a seam ripper, and then basically I just glued that down to the back of the phone case to cover the ugly back, and then I put this cute sticker on it. So now I have a slim phone case that I can hold with just one hand, but it does have the crossbody strap, which is great. For anyone wondering why I wanted a crossbody strap phone case to begin with, it's basically because a lot of my outfits don't have pockets. And if I'm using my park bag in backpack mode, rather than fumble around with that, I can instead just keep my phone crossbody style in front of me, on my body, on my person, even when I don't have pockets. I've used it around town, it works very well. I'm excited about the utility, especially for the upcoming trip. Next in tech, and I mentioned this in my most recent monthly creator update, but I did get a new tripod. It's a Joby GorillaPod like basically everybody else uses. One of the legs of my old tripod was more or less broken, so I'd been putting off this purchase for a while because I didn't feel like I absolutely needed it, so the trip really pushed me to buy it sooner rather than later. And then I did end up buying the tripod as part of a kit. You absolutely don't have to, you can just get the tripod alone, but the kit came with this converter for your phone. So you put this on your phone, and then you can screw your phone into the tripod this way or this way, so you can get portrait or landscape, which is great. Hopefully that'll help me take some cool footage while I'm down in the parks. The last category of purchases I made for the upcoming trip is what I would consider personal care. First, I bought these Bliss Incredipeel resurfacing pads. These actually aren't my favorite. I've used them before. Normally I use these Elemis pads. But as you can see, all of the pads are contained in this giant container, and I don't really want to pack this if we're being honest. Normally on shorter vacations, I wouldn't worry about something like a facial resurfacing pad. I use them every 2 to 3 days, so if we're only gone for 5 days, I'd miss maybe one session, that's fine. But we're going to be gone for 2 full weeks, so I want to keep things as normal as possible, especially when it comes to my skin routine. I bought these Bliss resurfacing pads specifically because they're individually wrapped, which again is pretty wasteful, but it is very convenient for travel. So I'll pack a bunch of these in the suitcase, and then I can continue to use them every 2 to 3 days and hopefully keep my skin happy. Next, and very important, is sunscreen. Specifically, this is Age Shield sunscreen for the face. I put sunscreen on my face every day. My partner's good about it in the summer, less good about it otherwise, but I'm trying to bully them into better habits. We know we like this exact face sunscreen, it's what we're using now, but we only have about a third of a tube left, and I am not going to chance it. So I bought an entire new tube to take with us on vacation to very, very sunny Central Florida. We do have plenty of body sunscreen, so I didn't need to worry about that purchase, but for the face, specifically, I got a new tube so I know we will not run out while we're on vacation. And the very last thing I purchased with our upcoming trip in mind, but we will get a ton of utility out of it over time, is this Theragun Prime Percussive Massage Gun. This is about $300, so it's not a small purchase at all. I've been going to physical therapy on and off for most of my life and had some version of a massage gun used on me for years, maybe a decade, I'm not sure, but for a really long time. I have some significant joint issues, and really any time a system in your body is perturbed away from normal, well, there are effects past just that point. So clearly a massage gun is going to do nothing for my ailing joints, but it does help a lot with the muscles surrounding them. In the past year or year and a half or so, my partner's knee has been bothering them kind of a lot, and recently they started going to physical therapy. Through that process, they also had the Theragun used on them, and suddenly they understood why I was so jazzed about it in general, and occasionally would bring up, maybe we should buy one of these. But it is such a big purchase, so, I didn't want to just do it on my own without buy-in from my partner too. After experiencing it for themselves, they were sold, and so we decided to buy one. Obviously, this will be very useful for us in general and in the long run, especially in terms of maintenance from our injuries. But timing-wise, we probably purchased this earlier than we would have otherwise because of this upcoming trip to Walt Disney World. So we are planning on packing the Theragun and bringing it with us down on vacation. I think it will feel so good to use the Theragun on my quads and my calves after a long day in the parks. I know it's pretty lavish, but really if you've never had a percussive massage gun used on you, it's kind of life-changing and you may want to consider it. Even people who aren't elite athletes can benefit from this kind of tool. That's just about everything I bought, really with the upcoming Walt Disney World trip in mind. Some purchases were really inexpensive. For example, each single disposable mask was probably only about 30 cents. And then of course we went all the way up the range to about $300 for a massage gun. I could have probably gotten away with not purchasing any of these. I don't know that any of them were 100% necessary, but they are going to make the trip so much more enjoyable for my partner and I, so I think they're good investments. I'm looking forward to your reactions about the silly things I've bought, and also I still would love to hear if there's anything in particular you always buy before you head down to the parks. And if you want to chat outside of YouTube, we can continue the conversation over on Instagram or Twitter. You will find me at PixieDustPhD. Relevant links for all these products will be in the description below, though do note that some will be affiliate links. Full details will be included in the description as well. If you want to support the channel outside of YouTube, please do consider shopping through my affiliate links. It will cost you nothing more. I will just get a small, tiny little kickback. We're going to be down in Disney so soon, and I am extremely excited. All of these little purchases should make our day-to-day experience just a little bit more magical too. I am wishing you all the very best, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.